Hello, ethics students, electrical engineering 487. So we're moving along through the semester, and this week I hope you've been looking at or will look at the Chapter 8 material in our textbook. And specifically, I'd like you to consider the Citicorp Center case. This was a case of a skyscraper in New York City, in Manhattan. Innovative design. It had a distinctive angled roof that you probably can still see in pictures of the skyline of New York City today, Midtown Manhattan. And the base of the building was designed to have 5 tall columns that hold the base of the building up so that the space under the building is actually useful as a plaza, and there's even a church located there that was maintained. So the designer of this building with the columns had done this innovative design, and the structural engineer named William LeMessier had created this and done the testing, and the building was implemented. So the building was completed in 1977 and seemed to be well liked. Well, it turned out that there was an engineering student at Princeton University, and she was studying structural engineering, and as a class project, she decided to look at this particular skyscraper and understand more about its characteristics and its behavior. And so the student, named Diane Hartley, contacted the engineer, William LeMessier, to ask him some questions, because her calculations showed that this building was perhaps not going to be strong enough in high winds, and in particular winds that might come at a diagonal because of the way that the base was set up. So William LeMessier, got this query from an engineering undergraduate student, and rather than dismissing the concern, he actually looked into this, and before long he realized that she was right. There was a problem with the way the building had been implemented in its design, and potentially in high winds, maybe 50 miles an hour or 70 miles an hour wind, which would not be particularly unusual with gusts in New York if there were a hurricane, which can happen, the building might actually collapse. And so, as you'll read in the text, one of the questions then was, well, what do you do? Here's this building already built, people are working in it. How do you bring this up and take the blame for this and figure out a way to fix it? And so I'd like you this week to consider this, and in particular think about some of the other situations that we've had in this course already. Back in Chapter 5, you might have remembered reading about the Hyatt Regency Hotel walkway collapse. And in class we talked about the I-35W bridge collapse in the Twin Cities, and both of these cases were only discovered that there were shortcomings after the collapse and after the loss of life. But I wonder what you think. What if one of the engineers, or maybe another engineering student who was studying those in advance, might have noticed that there was a problem with those buildings? How do you think is the best way for an engineer to take responsibility for something like this? One of the suggestions was to come up with a solution first so that you could show that there was a way around it. On the other hand, if it's a building that might be in imminent collapse or something like that, maybe you want to warn people immediately and take that structure out of service. So I'd like you to consider these things and think a little bit about what should be your reaction, or what would you do if you're faced with this information where you might have been involved and made a mistake in your design and in your calculations. So for the reading discussion this week, go to D2L and look at these articles, and then you can respond to the prompt online. So I look forward to reading the discussion section. Thank you.